vehicle that we're using to travel, the different style viewers, different style today. I'm just dressing up this way. Let me show you. I'm going to dress up in my regular Tuesday apparel. It's here. I'll show it to you and explain to you the reason why I am dressed differently. So I'll be wearing this. Is it not okay? It's okay. We chose it today. Is this one? It's a dark suit. They say we should wear dark blue suits all the time and a white shirt and flying tie. Good evening, viewers. Welcome. Don't mind me. Welcome to the show. So I'll be changing into this when we get to the big stories for today, because we really do have major stories. And I'm going to start by showing you some of the behind the scenes that we graciously got from this morning's Sona. I'm going to give you a teaser of it. The big one is coming. We've put together a massive behind the scenes. From the time the president woke up this morning, cameras were with him, and they allowed us to film all of that. I'll show you who did the filming and everything when we get there. Let's look at a sneak preview of one of the most important videos we have for you tonight. Is the behind the scenes during and ahead of the president's Sona Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo pictured here on my screen. And I have a lot to say about what he said today, and a lot to say about his tenure as well. This is Parliament's inner chamber with the beautiful chandelier that we're all proud of. His Excellency the President and His Excellency the Speaker of Parliament. Ghana's democracy is beautiful, isn't it? We have so much. Oh, yes. Need I say more? Need I say more? And this is beautiful. This was absolutely beautiful. It's a testament to, this is our two-forcing and the president. Is that not a testament to our democracy? Okay, let's see the sneak preview of the short video that will show you an extended version. Here is the president's home earlier this morning as he got ready for the Sona. They're going to start showing it. As he got ready for the Sona, this is the president's home here. So that's it. That's a beautiful photograph of the president put together by a young man. This is portions of the president's living area, and the door you see there brings people into the living area, one of the living areas. Apparently, this is towards the president's, they say it's a study also. So this is where everything happened. Yes, in the photograph there is Eugene Ahin. So this was about 8 o'clock in the morning when Eugene Ahin, the president's director of communication, and the president were doing the very final work of the president's speech. So we're going to bring you more of the behind the scenes. You see other people in there, and this was the president and his wife on their way to go, all of that. Okay, but I want to begin tonight with an eulogy, a full dedication, a full dedication of this eulogy. Let me get the book. Sorry, 1 minute. There's a book here that I'm going to talk to you about. Yeah. This is a book entitled African Christianity is Public Role. There it is. They're going to perhaps zoom it so you can read it as well. And the guy on the TV is a guy who wrote the book, and his name is Mr. Paul Gifford, whom I met at the University of London many years ago. Are they going to be able to zoom this one? Yes, I think they're going to be able to zoom it. Are they? Yes. They're zooming it right now. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I was moving. There it is. African Christianity is Public Role. So this is an important book that I'm going to bring to you. But yesterday was phenomenal and significant. And it was a sober moment when we all gathered at the International Central Gospel Church to revere, to listen, and to feel a big part of a glorious journey. This journey of Reverend and Mrs. Otabel, beginning with Reverend Otabel, is a journey that has taken so many people out of a certain state of mind. And that's very important. If you get a sober reflection of the whole Pastor Mensa Otabel phenomenon, it is about a certain mindset that Pastor Otabel released onto the people and the youth, especially all of us who were young at the time. Here is a gentleman. Can you put Pastor Otabel's photograph here if you have it? This is Gifford. I'll come to Gifford in a minute because Gifford wrote this book, and he wrote a lot about Pastor Otabel in this book entitled African Christianity is Public Role. They'll get Pastor Otabel's photograph for me very soon, and they'll put it there because I'm talking about him. So his vision, mission, and all of that. Thank you very much for this photograph. And all of the things that Pastor Otabel has done over the last 40 years has put a major footprint in the lives of African people, in the lives of Ghanaians, in the lives of African Americans all over the world. And it is a certain mentality that Pastor Otabil has given to people, a mentality that you can, a mentality that it is possible, a mentality that through Christ you can rise up to become anything that you want to be in business, in government, in politics. We believe those days that it's through Christ you can become a priest, that you want to be a Catholic priest or an Anglican priest. That is through Christ. If you want to be an engineer, it's not through Christ. If you want to be a doctor, it's not through Christ. But Pastor Otabil revolutionized that and gave us a new conscience as people and as African people. He didn't do that from worldly and academic scholarship. He did it from the Bible. He went to the Bible to show us the presence of black in history of the Bible that we didn't know about, we were never told. And many years ago, somebody played a song, one of those people, I think it's UB40, Eden for me, I was never told, Addis Salvation and a King James version. And he said Eden, Garden of Eden was for him, he was never told, because later on, the research showed that Garden of Eden was in somewhere in Africa, etc., etc. That was a song, that was a reggae song. What Pastor Otabil did was to go into the Bible and show. And the reason why I brought Gifford here is that Gifford recounts those things. But Pastor Otabil was working at TV3 as a graphic designer. And as a young man, he could have continued to do that graphic designing however he wanted. And he could have gone to school again after finishing secondary school. He could have gone to university to be like his boss, Reverend Donko, who's also a member of the church today. Pastor Otabil could have been that. He could have done that. But he took up this call that at that time could not make sense to anyone. With no mother, no father, in his 20s, working as a designer in TV3. What is today TV3? Ghana Film Industry Corporation. Maybe by now, Otabil is over 60. He would have retired. And if he had retired after 60, he would have retired as MD of TV3. The company was called Ghana Films Industry Corporation. It's not GBC, it's TV3. What has today become TV3 was called Ghana Films Industry Corporation, GAMA. That's where Pastor Otabil used to work. The same place where TV3 is, that's where he used to work. And he could have decided that he would progress with his graphic designing. But he took up this call, not knowing what to do with it. Middle 20s-year-old young man, not married, no father, no mother. Both of his parents had died. And then he went onto the streets to follow a voice. Just a voice. It was a simple voice that he heard. Only him heard it. That's the worst part of it. He's the only one who heard the voice. All of us didn't hear it. All the people who loved him at the time didn't hear it. So if he went to them and told them, yes, they all love me, they are family members, they think you should go to school, and you told them, I have the calling of God and I want to be a priest. Or I want to start a movement, or nothing. There was nothing. Making obeisance to that call is the highest expression of faith that any man of God can talk about. A call that comes at a time when there's a broad road that you can go on. It is going to lead you to be a graphic designer. Industry was changing. Media was growing. Everything was changing. There's a future for graphic designers. Is there a future for a 23, 24, 25-year-old man who says, I've been called by God, I have no church, I have nothing, I have no piano, I have no equipment, I have nothing, I just have my salary from Ghana Film Industry Corporation every month. And by the time the month is over, my salary is finished. And he says, I want to be a pastor. That call, that faith is what he taught all of us. The faith of God, the faith of believing in things unseen and having a hope of things that you hope for, having substance for things that you hope for, and being able to believe things that you cannot see. That little voice that comes and said, go out there and take my people. He left the job, went on the street, nothing, just doing fellowship in Kanda and all of those places. What was his mission? To proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord. That was Pastor Otabil's mission. To proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord. And then later on he added, to influence society with the principles of the kingdom of God, and most importantly, raise leaders for our generation. Glory to you, Pastor Otabil. Thank you so much. And the Lord has honored his vision. The Lord has honored his call. 40 years down the line, I ask you the question, has he influenced society with the principles of the kingdom of God? And I'm going to show you what Gifford said about him in a minute. Has he raised leaders for our generation? Yesterday we celebrated 40 years. This is my shirt. ICGC. I went there when? Pastor Otabil started a church in 1984. That time I was in maybe class 3 or something like that. Later on, when they started from the children's service, and there's the sheer audacity of Pastor Otabil to take the Bible and interrogate it in a church service, which we have not seen before. We go to church service, we just hear the pastor first reading, second reading, and then they read it. Pastor Otabil had the audacity to pick the Bible and say that this is what the Bible says. It doesn't say this. The thing that you have heard before, the Bible doesn't say it. This is what it said. And through that, he created a revolution among young people. All of us were excited that the word of God brings authority, the word of God brings power, and the word of God brings illumination. We didn't know that. We just go with the pious hand together and then we worship Dominus Vobiscum, et cum spiritu tu, amen. And we were happy doing that. It was lovely because we loved God. But here was another step that Pastor Otabil took us. That yes, you love God. Yes, the Bible is good. Yes, church is good. But now the Bible and the church and the word of God, the content of the Bible is going to illuminate your understanding of everything that you can do. Everything that you want to do, that word of God is going to illuminate your understanding. That's what Pastor Otabil gave us. And so today I stand here as a testimony to the obedience of Pastor Otabil. And there are many more like me. And he said he was going to raise leaders. And I believe that in this country, one day we'll be here, president will rise up and say that I am a man made by content from Pastor Otabil's messages, Pastor Otabil's culture, Pastor Otabil's theory, and Pastor Otabil's theology. One day, very soon, we're going to have a president who will speak in Ghana and say that I am president of Ghana. I'm a man made by Otabil's teachings. And this has impacted the entire charismatic movement and has impacted many other pastors who have set up their own churches after Pastor Otabil. And Gifford wrote about that. I'm going to go into what Gifford wrote about. But before I do that, it is important to eulogize the man and also to remember behind every successful man, there is Lady Joy Otabil. And this is the eulogy for them. A short documentary. Is it a documentary? It's a short montage that we put together to celebrate 40 years of ICGC and its leadership of wisdom. Have a look. People are sending me texts asking me that, is it true that Reverend Otabil was a designer? Yes, the ICGC logo, the one you see, he designed it. He's a designer. That's his job. And he still does it. He designs the back of his books and all that. He's a proper designer, a thorough one, and his artistic sense you can see when you look at the church and the way it's built and the way Otabil's hands is in all of that. He's a hands-on leader. Okay, we've been learning from Pastor Otabil from him for 30 odd years now. Yesterday, he taught us another lesson. When he spoke yesterday at the event, and there's more events planned for the 40th anniversary. So if you go to the ICGC website, you see all the events. Various churches are celebrating. And then the main church is also celebrating as well. Yesterday, he said something that taught us, all of us, a lesson again. Whilst he was speaking to the faithful, and I was sitting in the auditorium, he was talking about how he started the church. And it's a story that we have heard many times, but it always generates the same kind of emotion because of the point I'm making, that he could have decided not to do it. He could have decided not to obey. It was very difficult to obey. It didn't make sense to obey. It wasn't sensible to obey that little voice that says, go out there and create fishers of men and create leaders for our generation, influence society. Which society was he going to influence? He had no church. He had nobody. That call, that obedience is what now has generated and germinated fruits, and everybody is talking about it. It's created so many different people that will continue to influence Ghana for the years ahead. And we pray that after 40 years, there will be 80 years, there will be 120 years, there will be 160 years, and generations upon generations. Our children have started going to ICGC as second generation. Their children will go, and one day we'll be talking about 500 years of the obedience of Mentor Otabil. That's a story. That's the main story, and it's going to happen. Yesterday, he said something about some of the people that he started with that may not be around the church anymore. And that was a very moving part. And the audience, the applause that drew from the audience showed a certain sense of humility and a certain sense of gratitude. And once again, after 40 years, Otabil is still teaching us lessons in humility and in gratitude. Have a look at what he said yesterday.
And before I close, I just want to thank two people, dear friends of mine who were there from the beginning. Reverend William Obindakun, who was there from the beginning. He left somewhere in the middle, but we cannot forget his labor of love and his investment. And, sometimes life takes you in different directions. And sometimes when you go different directions, you tend to forget. And I think we need to remember his commitment and the years of service he gave to this church. And of course, my very good friend who is still around, Reverend Eric Kwapong. In the fiery days, all the praise and worship songs we heard here, he was the one in charge, leading us in robust praise and worship. We want to thank God for his life. And for every church member who has left but played a major role at one point in the life of our church, we want to thank each one of them in all our churches, wherever they are, and to let them know that their work is not in vain, that God will reward them favorably for all the good that they have done for his kingdom. And may the God who rewards openly shed his light on every member of this church who has toiled silently, sown seed quietly, has prayed fervently, has desired, have held the church, have given and have helped us build all the things we have built. Thank you very much. God bless you. May the Lord reward you openly. May the Lord show you mercy. May the Lord show you kindness. And may the Lord be your help in a time of help. And at every time when you have a need, may he become your provider. In Jesus' name, amen. Just want us to spend a little time.
So this is Reverend Eric Kwapong, who was mentioned by Pastor Otabil. Drew a lot of applause. Bishop Kwapong, good evening. Thank you very much. The Papa himself, Pastor Otabil, mentioned you, so need we say more? But of course, the Philharmonic Choir, he talked about Praise in the Sanctuary Volume 1 and 2. I don't know whether when he's going to reproduce that again, or when the church is going to reproduce that. Praise in the Sanctuary Volume 1 and 2. I was there in the recording. I can't remember how old I was. I was in Presec, but I was there. I was right there in the recording when we sang all of those songs. It was a pleasure. It was just an amazing pleasure. And at camp meetings, I believe it was camp meeting 1990, that Reverend Eric Kwapong introduced the triumphant call at the end of the break of the new year, and we say January, then we respond triumph, February triumph, March triumph. And in those days, because of O and A level, when they get to June, all the people who are writing O level will say it louder: June triumph, A level, June triumph, O level. Those were fantastic days. We overcame all of those hurdles because of Pastor Otabil's vision. Reverend Eric, thank you very much for your support to the doc. And here is Reverend William Obindako. He was a fiery preacher, and we used to call him Holy Ghost. Back in, that's a nickname we gave to him. I don't know whether he ever got to know, but we used to call him Holy Ghost, and he was a really fiery preacher. He would take the Tuesday service and deliver it. He gave me a testimony sometime that I'm not going to talk about tonight. When I begin the podcast, I'll talk about it as well. But Reverend Obindako, wherever you are, your name has been mentioned by Pastor Otabil, and those of us who were there, remember your labor of love, as Pastor Otabil put it, your labor of love and your investment in this whole enterprise, the vision and the obedience of Pastor Otabil. I believe he's in America these days, and those of you know where he is, and you can send me his number. Please send me his number, and then I'll tell him that Pastor Otabil had mentioned him to the world as being one of the important fixtures of the ICGC story, and that was very gratifying coming from Doc last night. Now let's go to what Gifford said, because my producers are telling me that people are asking, where is the political story? It's coming on from 10 o'clock. This is Gifford, who wrote this book, and this is what he wrote about Otabil. It's as follows. He says, there is another important element in Otabil's theology. He never misses a chance to instill black pride. He has written a book called Beyond the Rivers of Ethiopia, a biblical revelation on God's purpose for the black race. Otabil is convinced that the Bible has been misinterpreted by the whites. He returns to the Bible to solve the question, did God ever use black people? Question. Are we on God's agenda? He confronts the question, is the black race cursed? Genesis chapter 9 verse 25. He answers no. Ham was blessed. Genesis chapter 9 verse 1. Numbers 23 verse 20 shows that such a blessing cannot be reversed. Cush, the son of Ham, was never cursed. he received a double blessing as firstborn. He was a father of the black races of the world, and he was never cursed. Full stop. After the flood, the leaders of the world were Cushites. Nimrod, a black, was the first governmental leader and motivator mentioned after the flood. Otabil admits that Abraham's Cushite children were disinherited, but shows how they were subsequently restored to their inheritance, for they remained faithful. One of them, Jethro, was a priest before Aaron was. It was Jethro who taught Moses all that he needed to lead the Israelites from Egypt. He knew all the law before Moses. In fact, he was lawgiver to Moses. It was this same Jethro who invented grassroots organizing. When you understand that Jethro was of the Cushite or black race, then it makes nonsense of the assumption that black people cannot govern themselves. The nation of Israel, and for that matter, all nations, owe this black priest an honor for being the vessel through whom principles of local government administration were established. Can you imagine that, viewers? This is the British guy I met in the University of London, Gifford. He's still teaching over there, who is writing about Otabil's philosophy. And Pastor Otabil goes into the Bible and to locate the first public local government administration by Jethro. That's what excited all of us as young people growing up in a black poor country. It excited all of us because as Christians, we had been told, or we had been conscientized to be second citizens to another person who had the same skin color as the photograph of the Jesus that we saw in our house. The Italian and Romanian and Danish Jesus. You know that Jesus picture when we grew up, and when a friend of mine, he would look at a white man and say, Charlie, the guy didn't look like Jesus. Oh. And we all kind of agree because you know what the Jesus image looks like. And that's what we thought was Jesus. And Otabil comes to go into the Bible and show you that the first government administration of local government was done by somebody called Jethro. That's fantastic revelation, and it is empowering, it is compelling, and it's convincing. That's what we got for 40 years of somebody's obedience. Go on, let's see what he says. He says, Hobab, Jethro's son, by acting as a scout for Israel, won back their inheritance for Abraham's Cushite children. Numbers 10:32. Otabil, says Gifford, has begun to introduce very different considerations, I think that's the word. In a key address at his camp meeting for the new year, he spoke on First Psalm, New Year, I'm not sure which year, they put 1034 there, but I think it's maybe 1994. He spoke on First Psalm 13, 16, 22. A passage which describes how the Philistines kept the Israelites in subjection by ensuring that only blacksmiths in the region were Philistines. As a result, the Israelites had to go to the Philistines every time they needed plow or utensils sharpened. If they needed their plow or their utensils sharpened, they have to go to the Philistines. And when they went to war, they had neither swords nor spears. Otabil developed this as a metaphor for the third world. This is Otabil talking now. When I read this verse 1, looked at the world, and I saw it happening plain in the world arena. The powers of the West play such political and industrial games with Africa, ensuring that we in Africa, this is Otabil talking, we will always be running but never catch up. Get amused when we talk of breaking the yoke of colonialism and still use the blacksmith called the IMF and the World Bank to sharpen our tools to go and kill them. Otabil says they will not allow you sharpen your tools to come and kill them. He calls the IMF and the World Bank blacksmith. This is 1994. Let's move on. He lambasts these World Bank consultants, these white people. He insists on our political leaders are selling us for generations yet to come, incurring debts that cannot be paid. Now listen to this. Africans have to go to the West for everything they need to run. We see the sons and daughters of Africa roaming the streets of Europe crying for crumbs from the master's table. This is the catch here. Otabil says, and Gifford quotes him, in our generation, let us develop blacksmith. Otabil said this in 1994. He said, in our generation, let us develop blacksmith, people who will sharpen us, set us ablaze, equip us right here in our land. This vision is not only for Ghana, but for blacks in America who are totally lost. It is not only for Africa. It's about black people everywhere. My ambition, says Otabil, is that a generation will be prepared to fulfill a destiny. God is asking for blacksmiths in Israel. There was very little narrowly spiritual content in this lecture. This is Gifford talking. It was a cry for political and economic self-determination. Otabil had used the Bible to make a determination to sound a certain alarm and cry for political and economic self-determination. Otabil seemed aware of this. He said to the audience, you want me to speak about how Jesus heals and delivers? You know all that already. Don't only know that, you know other things. The word blacksmith has since become almost a catchphrase summing up the mission of Otabil's church. Otabil is stronger on the general picture than on the details on how it might be achieved. But this is the crusade for Africans to take control of their own political and economic lives in something he can be expected to pursue. Given the charismatic networks and Otabil's status as a role model for many pastors, this thinking can be expected to spread. This is Gifford writing 1994. It's 2023. Philosophy of Otabil spread. Did I say more? I won't say much. 10 o'clock now, we need to go. We'll end with the montage again. Let's play that montage again. And we say thank you, Pastor Otabil, for your obedience. Okay, welcome back. As I get ready to go and change and come, somebody is sending text that they want to listen to the politics. So much to talk about. Sona was great. One of the big parts of Sona was when the president talked about one young minister that made us excited that this minister is adding to the credit of young people. He's not giving them a deficit for the future. We'll talk about that young minister in a minute. Okay, let's take the text messages. I begin with Antoinette.
Thank you very much, Paul. We start with Ya Obwase Baby. She says, one thing I like about Pastor Mensa Otabil is his love for local cloth. He is true Africanism. Now, Dash Tinkun says, Reverend Mensa Otabil's voice is unique, and anywhere you hear his voice, you definitely know that it's him. Tanko Ibrahim says he's watching all the way from Kasoa. Thank you for watching. Asante Clinton says, congratulations, sir. God bless you richly, man of God, Pastor Otabil. Also on the Reverend Otabil story, I remember Reverend Otabil when he used to preach on radio every weekday afternoon. You will hear him loud and clear. As a kid, used to listen to him on my way back after school. God bless you, Pastor Mensa Otabil, shaping the Christian community of Ghana. Now, lastly, Jima NS says, Pastor Mensa Otabil has raised leaders for even the next generation, Christ-centered leaders. God bless Pastor Otabil. Mommy.
All right. Coming from Andrew Anoche, he says, Pastor Mensa Otabil has raised leaders for even the next generation. There will be a generation that will remember there was a preacher who believed in the future of Africa. And Kwesi Kisi says, Pastor Mensa Otabil is a great teacher. Congratulations, Pastor O, for a good job. Over to you.
Okay, so Paul K. Andor says, Pastor Mensa Otabil is a fantastic preacher. And then coming from Nana Wusu, he says, Paul, I think you need 4 hours for your program, not 1.5. You may need 4 hours, good 4 hours for your program.
Okay, we have from Real Maxby. He says, Apostle Paul, I learned Pastor Otabil used to go to Action Chapel and take notes while Papa Duncan ministers. Interesting. Edward says, God bless you, and God bless Pastor Otabil. And this interesting response to the earlier message about Pastor Otabil's love for African clothes. Daston Kong replies saying, I've never seen him wearing a suit before. Maybe it's a bit too late for some of us. But he says he's never seen Pastor Otabil wearing a suit.
We have a photograph of him in a montage wearing a suit. That's very old. Very, very old. Oh, okay. Very. He stopped wearing a suit, I believe, in 86 or something.
Very early, okay. Maybe there's hope for some of us.
All right. So that's our eulogy to Ota, but I needed to do this at the first part of this program. It's a very important political day because it's Sona, but spiritual things come first. The Bible said that seek ye first the spiritual kingdom, and everything else therefore will be added. So we sought the spiritual kingdom to pay homage to our spiritual fathers. Our Lord's spiritual are always more important and abiding than our Lord's temporal. Okay, after the break, full fire. Sona, President Mahama, he got in the minority. Initially, they said they wouldn't do the Sona. Then President Mahama comes to talk to them. What is the gossip behind? What happened? What was exchanged? What happened? What happened? I don't mean something was exchanged in terms of money. I'm saying what ideas were exchanged before they came. And then we had a few other things. There's Ecletus Avoka, something going around where he says, if he's not corrupt, how does he maintain his... I think he didn't want to say corruption. I think he meant the word creativity or something like that. But we'll have time to look at it. And then the other day, one of my people was saying that it's been a long time since we opened phone lines to test the pulse of Ghanaians and how they are receiving our program. So we are thinking about having one program very soon dedicated to getting you to tell us what you want, what you need, how you see it. And going forward is an election year. We're going to be all over. 8 minutes by the top of that, 10 o'clock. We have a 6 minutes break. When we come back, full fire. We'll be right back. 20 minutes past the top of the hour, 10 o'clock. Good evening again and welcome to the show. Now, the rest of the story tonight, it's about these men. Unfortunately, there's no woman, but I'm sure there are women who have played a role in all of these men's lives. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo, the President of the Republic, delivering his last but one State of the Nation address to Parliament earlier today. Speaker Sumano Kingsford Bagbin, who ran as presidential candidate against John Mahama in 2020, calling his campaign with a logo Ask Bagbin, because his name is Alban Sumano Kingsford. So it was ASK, and the flyers and the posters were all over Ask Bagbin. This is the freshman majority leader, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, Member of Parliament for Winneba, a proud lawyer and a proud member of the New Patriotic Party. I saw Afenyo's interview last night on City TV with Bernard Able. It was a great interview. And this is our former president and our uncle, President John Dramani Mahama. The rest of the story tonight is about these men, and it's about what happened in Parliament tonight. Now, though, we're going to run you through a commentary. I was just telling my producer that we have 6 minutes of a montage to show so we can do some preparation behind the scenes. I'm just reminding myself that I cannot, because I'll be running commentary like those of you who are my generation, like Nianum Thompson, like Harry Thompson, or later generations like Neil Ante Van Der Poel on Ghana Radio over this montage. So this montage was created earlier today. When we show you the montage, I'll come back and show you the people who participated. Next, we'll go to one of the biggest stories of the Sona today, and that was the President's report on money that had been saved by the Office of the Attorney General. We know the Attorney Generals of Ghana prosecute, don't they? They're the principal legal advisors to government. Today, the President gave an emphatic new role of any Attorney General in a republic like ours, the ability, capacity to save the Republic money. When everybody is suing the Republic and throwing something at the Republic, we need an Attorney General with that kind of big brain. And by the way, get me the photograph of Mr. Moses Fuamwenin. We have to celebrate him. He turned 60 this week. Moses Fuamwenin's photograph, get it from me. When I was talking about the Attorney General having a big brain, I remembered Moses Fuamwenin because he said on this show that Godfrey Dame is a man with a 70-year-old brain. And we're going to have time for that. Also, there was an education contest in Parliament today. President Akufo-Addo touted, of course, his credentials as education. And then, when Afenyo-Markin said, we were sitting in Parliament, when Afenyo-Markin said to minority leader that I'm going to bring 2014 Sona, my boys just said, look, let's get 2014, 2015. So we got 2016 Sona, where John Dramani Mahama here was also talking about education. We'll put it side by side. John Mahama's last sectional address in 2016 before the election, he spoke about education. Akufo-Addo's last sectional address, he spoke about education. We'll see what the two of them said and how the level of investment it shows that each of these presidents has put in education. That's coming for sure. And then we have Nana Akufo-Addo on Alhaji Muhammadu Bawumia. President Akufo-Addo touted Dr. Bawumia's credentials and what he has done in his government, Akufo-Addo took responsibility for the good and bad of his government and said that he was responsible for it, echoing the same thing that Dr. Bawumia said weeks ago. I told you viewers here that Akufo-Addo is going to go to the sessional address. He's not going to need anyone to defend his record. He's going to defend his own record. And that happened this morning. He ferociously defended his record. And after that, I'll show you his concluding remarks. It was just fantastic. I was proud to hear a president of Ghana speak that way. And I'm going to share it with you in a moment. Now, though, let's get to the montage recorded throughout the morning before, behind the scenes, and before he went into Parliament and after he entered Parliament. This is how it starts. It rolls out this way with the camera of the production team attending the president's home this morning. This is his official residence. Are they going to roll it? I'm sure they'll roll it very soon. Is it going to come? Yeah, there you go. So that's some music behind them. Yeah, so this is Eugene Ahin, who is dealing with he's talking to the president about the speech. Is the president surprised about something? No, he's not. I think they're, okay, I'm sure he's seeing the figures that come in. Okay, so the music will come sometime and I'll be talking sometime. Here's Eugene Ahin then bringing him something. I think at this stage it's all done. And the First Lady walks in to remind him that, Mr. President, it's time to go to Parliament. You are delivering your sessional address. And I've been waiting for you. But now the First Lady has to come to the president's study. Oh, yeah, they say Adosho boy. You know what that means. You know what that means, man. This is Adosho. Oh, yeah. I love the smile, man. They stood for photographs. And now, First Lady, thank you, First Lady, for reminding the boss that he needed to leave on time. Thank you, First Lady. And then they sit in. Please get me the John Mahama reels on the car. Please get me that one. Okay. As the president being welcomed to the Parliament by the Speaker of Parliament, Alhaji Muhammadu Bawumia, the Vice President, Second Lady Samira Bawumia, and the President is continuing to greet. This is Chief of Staff and the new Finance Minister, the new Minister of State at the Ministry of Finance, Carlos Von Brazi, the President's Chief of Staff, in a broad handshake with him, Ekufu Dampare, the Inspector General of Police, and other top senior police officers, the Chief of Defense Staff, and this is President Akufo-Addo with the Speaker resplendently clothed, and now the maize is heading into Parliament. This is a beautiful democracy, viewers. It's a fantastic democracy. It's something we need to keep. And now, this is John Dramani Mahama, Julius Deborah, Sam Okudzeto, all of them. We have to say congratulations Sam Okudzeto. He's been attending these events for many, many, many years. Uncle Sam is now nearly 90 years old, attending these events all the time in dedication to the cause of the Republic of Ghana. Members of the security detail now making way for His Excellency the President to greet all the invited guests. Nana Kunedu Ajiman Rawlings, Hassan Ayariga, John Dramani Mahama, Julius Deborah. Oh, cameraman, get out from there. Let's see how it goes. This President Ayariga, President and John Mahama. That's a good democracy. Asking John Mahama, how is the campaign going? John Mahama said, I'm going to win. I'm going to win, Mr. President. That's what John Mahama says. Katie Hammond, Daniel Boche, Ajoa Samuel, okay. This is Alexander Fenyo Markin now introducing the President, Patricia Appiaje, and the Chief Whip, Deputy Chief Whip, and all of them. Godfrey Dame, the Attorney General, the Second Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Joe Osei-Owusu, the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament. My Minister, Ofori Siama, is in there in the blue, and this is Mubarak Mutaka, the NDC former Chief Whip, the Member of Parliament for Asawase. This is Cletus Avoka in there. And now next to Cletus will be Collins Dauda, waiting in the white apparel. This is Collins Dauda, now in a handshake with the President, one of the key members of the NDC. Behind the President, of course, is Alhaji Mahamadou Bawumia, the Vice President. And this, the President continues the handshake of the NDC members of Parliament on the other side. This will be at the end of the President's tenure, at the end of the speech, I believe, as he is leaving. Emmanuel Amakofibua, former Minister of Energy, is taking his turn. He's the Deputy Majority Leader. Kesla Tuforce in there. Mahama Yariga over here. Rashid Pelpo over here. And then the indefatigable Idrisu Haruna. Idrisu Haruna has a double handshake with His Excellency the President. That seems to be working very, very well. The President's being escorted out again to the same road. Nana Kunedu Ajiman Rawlings, Professor Michael Kwe. Who else is here? Some of the members of the diplomatic corps, the General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, Mr. Justin Kodia. President said, "Hey, what are you doing here?" They had a good laugh. Ivor Greenstreet, the President extends his handshake to other people. I'm not sure who the man is in the wheelchair, but there's the President now signing the book, flanked by the First Lady, Rebecca Akufo-Addo, the glorious, gorgeous First Lady, Speaker of Parliament, Ladyship, the Chief Justice, and Mahamadou Bawumia will also have to sign that as Vice President, he was also there. Yes, so that's the final signatories. And I hope you like the video. We're going to put something on it, and then we'll put it out so that you can see it. Second Lady Samira Bawumia, resplendently attired, also in there as well. Yeah, excellent. Now, my best was the photo, the handshake between President Akufo-Addo and Adjo Asafo, the Member of Parliament for Domiko Abenya. Was that not great? Was that not a fantastic handshake? I certainly think it was. Okay. So the videos we show you came to us by the kind courtesy of the team that was working on the SONA. And I'm going to introduce to you the core team. Many people worked on the SONA, many ministers, many deputy ministers, many sympathizers of the MPP, many friends of Mahamadou Bawumia, many friends of Akufo-Addo all had a look at it. But I'm going to show you the team that actually put it together nicely. First is Alhaji Mahamadou Bawumia, the Vice President and the MPP presidential candidate. Thank you very much, Dr. Bawumia. That was a fantastic SONA that you guys put together. Alhaji Bawumia is first on the list. Next to Alhaji Bawumia, of course. Oh, this is my screen. Okay, is it gonna go away? Yes. Oh no, have I missed somebody? Yes. Next is our boss, Mr. Eugene Ahin, the parliamentary candidate for Ewutu Senya, also had worked very, very hard on this SONA. Of course, Eugene is the communication director of the president. You saw him in the video, giving the last bit of dotting the I's and crossing the T's with the president. Eugene Ahin is running for parliament, and I believe that he's going to be elected as a member of parliament for Ewutu Senya. Okay, Madam Elizabeth Ohene has showed a lot of dedication to the cause of the Dankwa Busia tradition, to the cause of human rights, to the cause of freedom. And she's been the deputy minister. She's been a minister of state before. She's been minister. She's a spokesperson for President Kufuor. And she had a long-time career at the BBC. Before then, she had a stardom career at the Graphic, where as editor she did so much. I believe she's the first female editor of the Graphic. I think that's still correct in terms of the record of the Graphic. Elizabeth Ohene worked on it. That is why you saw the quality of the language in the president's speech. All of that you saw. Elizabeth Ohene and co were behind it. Oboshi Sai Kofi has also been at this marketing, PR, advertising, and media work forever. And Oboshi did many, many things with media, and she became the chief of staff under President Kufuor, and also the minister for information under President Kufuor in 2008. Madame Oboshi is also part of the core team that was putting this together, and they gave us this video. Antoinette Chibudaku is a lady I knew from Lagos. She was my mate. She was big in Pax Romana back in the day. She's from St. Rose's. And so those people who went to St. Rose's, they eulogize her. Antoinette works as the appointed deputy secretary of the New Patriotic Party. But her PhD is in research. And she came to the job from ISA, where I think she still teaches. She's Dr. Chibudaku, Antoinette Chibudaku. She also was part of this important function. And then the Minister for Works and Housing, who still has one leg in communication. You see, once a communicator, you're always going to be a communicator. You can't leave it. It's such a beautiful job that you love it. You can't leave it. At Works and Housing, he was still a big part of the president's putting the SONA together. Good job, Nkrumah. Thank you very much and congratulations. And then, of course, now the Minister for Information, Fati, as we all call her, Fatima Abubakar, the Honorable Minister for Information, was also deep in it and helping to work. I should say, Honorable Minister Designate Abena Ansaije has also been working in communications and all of that for a long time. I believe those of you who know her know that she has a big hand in the Kwame Nkrumah mausoleum thing that the president talked about. Abena is into those things. She had a big book from her scholarship at London School of Economics where she wrote about the Ashanti Nation and all that many years ago. She was such a young girl at that time. She wasn't even 30 years when she wrote that book about the Ashanti Nation, endorsed by the Asante Hene for her project work in England. And that's how I got to know her. Abena has been working with the museums and all of those things that we've been putting together. So she was a big part of this work as well. Is that all? We are done? Okay, yes. So now let's get to the SONA and get to the important stuff. We begin with the Attorney General one. Let me just start with the, what did Julius Malema say? Okay, let's go to the Chocholoza. Let's do the Chocholoza if it's ready. Let's pick it one more time, and then we come to deal with the sessional address in the 3 themes that we have agreed to do. Let's see the Chocholoza one right now. Okay, welcome back to the show. And I'm just going to tell you a story whilst we wait for the... okay, the Attorney General is here, but we wait for the confirmation. Please ask them whether they confirm the videos. I mean the Mahama 3 to come first. If they have it, then we can go on. Viewers, don't worry, I'm talking in code. When I say Mahama 3, my producers understand what I mean. We have some 3 Mahama videos to share with you. I'm just waiting for a signal from them, and then I'll roll out the story. Okay, we have it now. Yes. So we've been talking about young people, and I refer to the special prosecutor, the Honorable Kissi Agyabeng, whose embarrassing turnout makes us afraid that in future, a president will not ask young people to take a big appointment. And we've been complaining about that. I've seen a few people who have agreed with me on that one, that this Kissi Agyabeng's behavior is going to make us lose the participation of young people in government, because presidents are going to be worried. They're going to be concerned that you bring what they call small boys into government, and then they are going to be messing up because of what Kissi Agyabeng is doing and alleged to be doing and all of that. We're not done with him yet. We'll come to him because he has to reply our RTI. He thinks we've forgotten. We know that we haven't forgotten. He doesn't even know what we're doing. But we're going to get a reply from him on that one. So just to put him on the straight and narrow so that it's a good future for young people. But on the flip side, it's a very positive story for young people. About the same age, by the way. Kissi Agyabeng and Godfrey Dame were mates in Legon. I'm assuming that they're about the same age. This morning at the SONA, President Akufo-Addo, apart from Dr. Bawumia, did not eulogize any other person than the Office of the Attorney General, not just for eulogy and for political talk. He gave figures, data, on why he was eulogizing the Attorney General. So under Article 88 of the 1992 Constitution, the Office of the Attorney General is established. That is the only ministerial position established by a constitutional provision. So his office is established under Article 88. In that Article 88, the law says that the Attorney General shall be the principal legal advisor to the government. All actions against the government shall be instituted against the Attorney General. And the Attorney General shall prosecute all matters. And the Attorney General has powers to relinquish his prosecution power to the police, to the CID, to the customs, all of that, which is done by regulation, one way or the other. What President Akufo-Addo added today is that in addition to the role of the Attorney General in being the principal legal advisor to the government and also prosecuting, he is able also to save the government's money because he defends the government. If he's able to mount a substantial and a proper, formidable defense to an action which is asking the government to pay money, that action fails. And if the action fails, the money is saved by the government. This is what President Akufo-Addo said. Let's hear him.
The Attorney General has continued in a very effective manner the tradition under this administration of contesting every single litigation against the state, and has avoided the numerous judgment debts that used to be given against the state. The Office of the Attorney General, as a result, has saved the country over 10 trillion Ghana cedis. All the evidence is there. I shall be performing a pleasant duty in a few weeks' time when I commission the Law House, the 12-story office building which will house the offices of the Attorney General and the ministry, and finally bring to an end the age-old office accommodation problem. I must declare a personal interest in it, as the building was started when I was Attorney General in the government of President John Agyekum Kufuor back in 2001. Mr. Speaker, As
soon as the president finished talking, tongues were wagging. Everybody said, what did the president mean? 10 trillion of what? Old cities? What is he talking about? So I quickly asked my people that, check. Then they came to me and said, boss, it looks like the president has understated the figure. I said, what are you talking about? Understated? They said, from what we are hearing from the Attorney General's office, he's understated it. It's more understated 10 trillion. But we are wondering whether the president was right about 10 trillion. Is it understated? And that's what they're telling me is understated. In fact, I understand that in the course of this week, the Attorney General is about to speak, and I heard on Joy FM today that the Attorney General was going to provide some figures. But we do have some figures already for you to have a look at. Now, this is NDK Capital. They were suing government in 1.27 billion cedis, not old cedis, current cedis, 1.27 billion. If it's dollars, how much would it be? Something like $100 million, something like that. They were suing 1.2 billion. They lost the case because of the formidable defense mounted by the Attorney General on behalf of government. So NDK didn't get this money. The court made a determination that it was not a correct process. It wasn't correct for the government to pay NDK that amount of money. And because the Attorney General had his eyes wide open, this money was saved to the state. You and I, taxpayer, would have paid 1.27 billion to NDK. Congratulations to Godfrey Dame for doing his work and doing it very well. What else do we have? Okay. Let me get it. Ooh. Okay. Yes. All right. So, all right. Please change it for me. Let's go to the next one. So the next is the evidence of the story. So there it is. NDK's claim of 1.2 billion thrown out by the Supreme Court. This is a matter that went all the way to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court ruled that the government will not have to pay 1.2 billion judgment debt application filed by NDK Financial Services. That's the evidence right there. Next one is 300 million United States dollars. A company called, the name is there. I don't want to mention it as such, but it's there. You can see it's mining company. They wanted the government to pay them 300 million United States dollars. That's probably more than the 1.2 billion. And again, the formidability of the Attorney General came to play in a court. And what happened? 300 million mining arbitration claim against Ghana suspended. And this actually international. And then they have no mercy. And if you are a bad lawyer in Ghana and you are being called a good lawyer by your friends, then when you get to these places, you will be exposed. Godfrey Dame has done it in Ghana and has done it abroad. In Ghana, we say he's a good lawyer, but we are his friends. So it's okay. You can think that he's not a good lawyer. It's just his friends praising him. But these are not his friends. It's an international court. He saved Ghana 300 million. Young Attorney General. Small boy. Saved Ghana 300 million. And then there's another one. 55 million United States dollars. Beijing everywhere. This was a big fight between the Ministry of National Security and the Ministry of Roads. One contract was terminated. The contract that was terminated said they will go to court. And they went. What happened? Permanent Court of Arbitration throws out Beijing-based company's case against Ghana. Why? It is the formidability of Ghana's Attorney General. Who is Ghana's Attorney General? Godfrey Dame. How old is he? Small boy. Small boy. And that is what gratified all of us. All of us have been talking this afternoon on all the school platforms that, we have somebody who is saving the name of small boys so that tomorrow small boys will be asked to come into government. Not what Kisi Ajabe is doing. Not that one, but this one. Here is it. Again, this one we all know. This one was very interesting. This one, the Attorney General, he was Deputy Attorney General as he then was. He didn't even know about it. He happened to be watching Joy FM's news file. and heard Metro TV's Randiabe complaining that this Galamsey fight, they've just lost $15 million by some mining guy. They just go and seize people equipment, just go there and seize equipment. What kind of things government doing like that? They've lost 15 million. He heard it on radio, called his office. Are we in a suit in Kumasi? They said, yes, we said I'm going there. Tuesday, went to Kumasi, went to the court, said, Deputy Attorney General is here, representing the Attorney General. My Lord, I want us to have another look at that case. After he made his arguments, formidability as always, 15 million saved. That is how it works. Is that another one? That is how it works. That is how it works. Galamsey fight, how AG set aside 15 million heritage imperial Galamsey judgment against the state. This is reported. This is how much. And President Akufo-Addo has calculated all this into the 10 trillion. You don't believe it? The Attorney General will be speaking and he'll be giving facts to it. You saw in the video that he was responding to the minority who seemed to be doubting and telling them it is true. I gave the President those figures. It is true. We have saved that. This is very gratifying for us. We think that Godfrey Dame has done such a fantastic job, and he has brought up the name of young people, except that it would have been nice if he had gone to Presec. It would have been very, very nice. It would have been nicer if he had gone to Presec, but it's okay. It's okay. He went to Presec in Cape Coast. There's a Presec in Cape Coast. At the Saddle Boys, I give it to you. I salute you. Your Godfrey Dame has produced excellent results. It's always gratifying, isn't it, to have a young man who is a shining star in a government that demonstrates and indicates that young people can do it and can do it also very, very well. Okay, let's continue with the SONA. This is the controversial part. It's very interesting. It's a combination of education conversations. President Akufo-Addo touted his education bit. So what I want to do is to start from 2016. The value of education in every president's life is very important, and President Mahama demonstrated that quite clearly in his 2016 SONA. 2016, President Mahama was ending his SONA, and we have 3 of his videos to show you and compare what President Akufo-Addo has. First, we're going to show you Mahama 3, which is how we call the video. First, this is President Mahama at SONA 2016, just taking you a throwback to 2016 before we come to this morning's 2024. Have a look.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to show how we are changing lives, and what a better place to start than with education, which has proven to be the single most effective way not only to change a single life, but all the other lives that surround it. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to show how we are changing lives, and what a better place to start than with education, which has proven to be the single most effective way not only to change a single life, but all.
So that was President Mahama putting the matter into proper perspective, saying that education is so important. So it's not just President Akufo-Addo who thinks education is important. President Mahama also feels that education is very important, and that's why we looked it for you to see. This is President Mahama who puts it in context. Next, what he says is that he tells Parliament that he has cancelled the teacher and training allowances so that he converts it to a loan. President Mahama says education is very important. We are training teachers to train our children. Training teachers is part of education. He announces to Parliament that education is the most important. Next, he tells Parliament that, meanwhile, I've cancelled the teacher training allowance. I have converted it to a loan because government cannot pay. Have a look at that.
To assist teacher trainees and finance their education following the cancellation of the teacher trainee allowances, I've asked the Ministry of Education to direct the Student Loans Trust to register trainees on their campuses and disburse student loans to them. This new system allows us to reinvest in the education of the next generation of teachers and students, and is a more sustainable way to support teacher trainees. To fulfill the policy of to assist teacher trainees and finance their education following the cancellation of the teacher trainee allowances, I've asked the Ministry of Education to direct the Student Loans Trust to register trainees on their campuses and disburse student loans to them. This new system allows us to reinvest in the education of the next generation of teachers and students, and is a more sustainable way to support teacher trainees. To fulfill.
So President Mahama said to Parliament that there's another way to support teacher trainees. He's going to cancel the allowances. I don't know whether the NDC campaign this year is saying that they will restore the allowances, because the allowances for teacher trainees was cancelled by President Mahama on the back of the bad budget, a budget that's not strong enough to take that. Both nurses and teachers were cancelled. We all know that. That's President Mahama in Parliament in 2016 telling the Ghanaian people, showing why he cancelled it and showing what he has replaced it with. He's going to replace it with students' loan. That policy was abandoned in 2017 because President Akufo-Addo and Mahamudu Bawumia restored the teacher training allowances. They restored it. So this is what John Mahama wanted to do in 2016. Akufo-Addo came and restored it. 2024, John Mahama versus Bawumia. What is John Mahama saying he's going to do with the teacher training allowances? Is it going to still be loans? Is he going to return to the policy that he fashioned in 2016, that it ought to be about loans? Or is he going to say that I was wrong, Akufo-Addo was right, I will continue with the teacher training allowances? That's what President Mahama said. That's the matter. That's what we are discussing. That's why we have to ventilate the issues on this program using 2024 SONA and 2016 SONA, because don't they have similarities? Absolutely do have a lot of similarities. Next, though, President Mahama now talks about how his intention and ambition to create more schools by building many, many more schools, still focusing to Parliament on the essential point about education. This is President Mahama again in 2016.
Mr. Speaker, secondary education was plagued with a number of challenges, notably a lack of access, leading to a poor transition rate from JHS to SHS. We are vigorously confronting these challenges under our program to establish 200 senior high schools. Mr. Speaker, I can report that, Mr. Speaker, secondary education was plagued with a number of challenges, notably a lack of access, leading to a poor transition rate from JHS to SHS. We are vigorously confronting these challenges under our program to establish 200 senior high schools. Mr. Speaker,
so that was President Mahama. So the context is that education is important. I am cancelling teacher training allowances to replace it with student loans. So that was the policy. That policy didn't see the light of day. Teachers are happy for it because Mahamudu Bawumia and Akufo-Addo intervened and changed the policy. And then Mahama promises that he's going to build 200 SHS. He says in that 2016 speech that access to education, access, that's what President Mahama said. Please play the video again. He said access, 2016. The video again.
Mr. Speaker, secondary education was plagued with a number of challenges, notably a lack of access, leading to a poor transition rate from JHS to SHS. We are vigorously confronting these challenges under our program to establish 200 senior high schools. Mr. Speaker,
that's President Mahama telling the Speaker that education is plagued with so many challenges, especially access. 2016, people didn't have access to the school. Why didn't they have access to the school? Because they didn't have money to pay for secondary education. Now look at this flyer, this poster. It says SHS faces closed down over unpaid feeding grants. This was not free SHS, by the way. This was students, teachers were paid, parents were paying. And that is John Dramani Mahama. Put up the poster again. That is John Dramani Mahama and Jenano Opoku-Agyeman, the two candidates who are going to be on the ballot again. What are they saying about this? Have they changed? Does it change their position? Is something changed? This is John Mahama and Jenano Opoku-Agyeman. On education, free SHS faces, what did I say? Secondary school, SHSs, that is many of them, faces closed down over unpaid feeding grants. That's where we are. This is 2016. That's what happened in this country. Why are we running an election year as if nothing happened? Media, journalists, take us back to what has happened with both candidates, every candidate. And that reminds me, I will show you the Akufo-Addo video After that, I have to talk about these books. Some book I saw today, I have to share with you. But I don't want to interfere with this story because of the way we do our post-production packaging. All right. So yes, that is the narrative. That's the narrative. John Mahama knew that education is important. He knew that access was a problem. He knew that free SHS will partially resolve the access problem. He was unable to do free SHS. He was unprepared to do free SHS because maybe his government was unprepared to go through the difficulty to buy the bullets and support the Ghanaian children, and instead the money was used for something else. Or that his government maybe just didn't have an idea of how to generate the resources for the free SHS, because he as president complained about access to education, access to secondary education. He said, Mr. Speaker, there are many problems. One of them is access. How does access solve the problem? Free SHS, if the taxpayer were to take the burden of the parents of the teacher, of the parents of the student, the pupil, the boy and girl, if the taxpayer were to take that burden, if a president and a finance minister and a vice president could make a decision that instead of doing this and doing that, we'll spend the money on free SHS so that people can go to school, so that the workforce can be great, so that Ghanaians will be great, so that we have plenty of educated people, because that really is a denominator between the rich country and the poor country, between the southern country and the northern country. The denominator is skills acquisition. Skills acquisition's foundation is education. That's the message Akufo-Addo gave, and that's the message he has left Ghana with. After 8 years of being president of Ghana, he has left Ghana with a firm, clear policy that is firmly in his name, that free SHS, getting Ghanaian children to go to school on the back of the taxpayers' money, so that at the end of his tenure, Akufo-Addo's free SHS has educated nearly 2 million Ghanaians who wouldn't have been able to go to school. Those 2 million Ghanaians would have been alive today, but today they are alive and they are in medical school, they are in science school, they are becoming engineers, they are becoming journalists, they are becoming politicians, because Akufo-Addo decided that instead of doing this, that, and X, I will spend the taxpayers' money on free SHS. Here is the president eulogizing his policy in Parliament today.
Have been protected and indeed enhanced. Mr. Speaker, right from the start of this government coming into office, we have sought to place the maximum effort on the education and training of the youth as the base for building the prosperous nation we seek. A foreign statesman once posed the question, and I quote, "Why am I the first member of my parliament in 1,000 generations to have gone to the university?" Unquote. In the past 7 years, I've met many people, young and old, across the country, who have told me about the first person in their families, in their communities, to have gone to senior high school. They might well ask the question, why are they the first boy or girl in their family to have gone to senior high school? The answer is not far-fetched. Not being able to go to secondary school for lack of money was so widespread and accepted phenomenon that it led to some people thinking senior high school was not meant for them or their children or for people from their village. And therefore, a child in the family finishing junior school and moving on to senior high school was simply not factored in their expectations. Mr. Speaker, free SHS might be labeled by its detractors as a mere political slogan that must be demoralized. But it is, in fact, a transformative program that has broken myths and liberated minds. It is humbling on one hand and frightening on the other to think of the sheer number of talents the free SHS has unearthed that would otherwise have ended their formal education at BECE. I know we will get more engineers, doctors, architects, scientists, writers, and poets out of the increased numbers of those attending senior high school who will go into further education. Even if they stop at high school, at senior high school, imagine what 1 million more secondary school educated young people will do to our self-confidence and the value of our workforce. That alone makes free SHS worthwhile. I'm proud that the NPP government under my leadership has been able to bring this transformative policy into our education system. Mr. Speaker, I believe the success of the free SHS policy has answered its critics, and the arguments about it should cease, and we should simply concentrate on finding ways to improve it.
Those people who said Akufo-Addo's government has failed, those people will be saying that today we had the sessional address. The president touted his achievements, the achievements of the attorney general, the achievements in education. Those people, when they were in government, can they leave one policy with their name? Let's leave one policy with their name. One policy with Kufuor's name, the national health insurance, capitation, all of that. You can say that. Akufo-Addo inherited all of that. One policy with Professor Mills's name. Tell me. One policy. One. One policy with President Mahamad's name. That this was President Mahama. I wasn't there. Not that I built road. Achampong built, Kwame Nkrumah built. Even the British did roads. Gagensberg did roads. Sir Worsley did roads. All of them, they did roads. Lord Listowel did roads. So everybody did roads. John Mahama did some roads. Yes, he did. John Mahama built some hospitals. Yes, he did. Tell me one policy that wasn't there that you can associate with John Mahama. Tell me about Akufo-Addo and Bawumia. Forget about one district, one factory. Free SHS is staring you in the face. It's a monumental achievement of the government. That wasn't there before. That taxpayers' money was used to do. A monumental achievement of the government. Check your brothers and sisters who went through free SHS. I know a guy who is in Canada today. He got scholarship. He's studying in medical school. It's a product of free SHS from PRESEC. Free SHS is a monumental achievement of the government. Those people who have been in government before, where is their achievement? I don't want to hear chip compound and he built chip compound and he built Kwanta Hospital and he built this. Everybody built hospitals. Even the Akufo-Addo that you're criticizing, he's launched the biggest hospital policy. Forget about that. His supporters are not interested in that. They're not talking about that. Free SHS before you is a monumental achievement of the government. It was taxpayers' money that was used to do it. These are some of the things. These are some of the things we go on with the SONA, and now we go to the president's testimony about his vice president. After that, we'll take a lighter part on the president talking about his health issues. He said about he talked about he drinks water and he doesn't drink alcohol. And he granted us an interview here in 2020 where we're asking him how does he look so good. President Akufo-Addo is going to be 80 very, very soon. I think it's 30th March or so. He's going to be 80 years old, and that's him. The 79-year-old days to be 80-year-old man. And he drank water and he was explaining to them that he doesn't drink any alcohol at all. I'm not sure whether some of the members of parliament drink alcohol, therefore they felt bad about it, or some of the important people in the audience drink alcohol, so they felt bad about it. But he was just telling his truth. Here is Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo speaking about his vice president.
This year, we're taking things to a higher level. This government, after all, is the digitalization government. And the man who has led the entire digitalization process these past 7 years my indefatigable vice president, Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, Dr. Digitalization, the MPP's excellent presidential candidate for the 2024 election. Is coming out with what will allow everyone and everybody and anyone to check on every project being undertaken by the government without having to listen to the president's message on the state of the nation. We are calling it the performance tracker. You can check and satisfy yourself about the status of the projects and their location. And you could stop by and make a physical inspection if you were so minded. Mr. Speaker, if you want to check on roads,
need I say more about the president and his vice president? We just have 2 more tapes to show. But as he talked about his vice president, MPP presidential candidate, here's a small montage for him. Alhaji Mahamadou Bawumia, congratulations. Okay, no, we're going to talk about water, isn't it? The president also said Still on Sona. We just 2 more clips on Sona to finish. And we're going to discuss the NDC's running mate situation. I think that we can build a program to look at that maybe tomorrow and or Thursday, something like that. But because it's nearly 11 o'clock, actually it's past 11. So we're running out of time. Sorry about that to have kept you that long, viewers. But the president talked about his health and about his water. I was going to tell you something about the books. Yes, here it is. Whilst I was looking for the Otabil book, which is Paul Gifford's African Christianity is Public Role. And the example I read to you was from Ghana. He writes about Uganda, he writes about Nigeria, South Africa, Kenya, Mozambique. And he writes in Mozambique during the protracted civil war between Frelimo and Renamo, and how the African Christianity played a role in resolving those crises over there. Whilst I was looking for it, I came across this book that I had for a while. And I had forgotten that it's there. There's a book that I bought many years ago when Dr. Bawumia was at the governorship. It's a book written by Dr. Bawumia, and it's entitled Monetary Policy and Financial Sector Reform in Africa, Ghana's Experience, Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia. I had forgotten that he wrote this book many, many years ago when he was working at the Bank of Ghana. That's when he put this book together. I was delighted to see it in my library today. So I was just congratulating Dr. Bawumia for being a man of scholarship for a long time. This is for economic students and those who are in School of Admin and people who are working as bankers. It says Monetary Policy and Financial Sector Reform in Africa, Ghana's Experience. Dr. Bawumia was at the heart of the reform when the Bank of Ghana was working in those days, and he put this book together. I think that's a fantastic one. And I found this book entitled How Democracies Die. I didn't even know I had it. So one of the children was asking me that, but you have so many books, you don't even know what book. I picked it, I was asking him, what book is this? And then a child read it to me, that's How Democracies Die. That's what is written there. And so, forgive me, viewers, I don't know what is in this, but it's very interesting. I'm going to read it on Thursday. I can't tell you what is in How Democracies Die. I'll share with you on Thursday How Democracies Die. Okay, now, Akufo-Addo and water.
Everybody who knows me knows I don't drink alcohol.
Are they looping? Who knows me knows I don't drink alcohol. That's what the president said when he sipped something and the minority were, hey, what are you drinking? Hey, what is happening? He said, no, everyone who knows me knows I don't drink alcohol. This is water. But in 2020, the president had granted me an interview here in the studio, and we talked about his health and his life and why he looks the way he looks. Let's just get a recap of it. I'm sure you've seen it before. Here's a recap. Social media people want me to ask you another question that I'm also personally interested in, Mr. President. And we really want a very honest answer from you. How do you do it at mid-70s? So strong, moving about. I mean, all over Africa, when people of your age are contesting elections, the age is always an issue. This year, all what has happened, everything the opposition has said, no one has talked about Akufo-Addo's age, because when we look at you, you're 20 years younger. Is it something you did when you were young? Is it exercise? Because you had a very busy life. You had a really busy life throughout, in opposition, in government, foreign minister, you travel, attorney general, you were in court. What is it?
The grace of the Almighty.
So what prayer should we pray? How should we say it? The grace of Almighty, I want to be strong like Akufo-Addo when
Our
I'm
Father which art in heaven.
Our Father who's at heaven.
Which art in heaven.
Is there any green tea or prekese? You talk about prekese during the COVID broadcast.
Yes.
Should we do that?
I live those
Everyone
things.
is desperate to know.
To know about it.
Yeah.
Well, I live a relatively straightforward life.
That means
simple. My pleasures are very simple.
Your pleasures are simple?
Are simple.
So oranges?
Good food.
What is good food? Is it expensive?
Not necessarily.
Okay, so what is
tasty
good
food. I'm a firm believer in the contumelies and even the corned beef stews and those things.
Yeah.
I eat those things. I don't drink these days. I stopped drinking.
No drinking at all?
No.
So when should we stop? We really want to be like you. So when should we stop drinking?
I stopped drinking what? That's now 30.
30? You say 30?
1994. What is that?
1994?
Yeah, that's what, 26 years ago.
26 years ago?
Yes.
No drinking at all?
No.
So when you were foreign minister with all these big dinners,
No, I wasn't drinking.
You were not?
No, water, soda water.
They didn't find it offensive?
No. Well, if you don't drink, you don't drink. It cannot be offensive.
Wow. Okay, so I think we are done for now.
Well done, Paul. Thank you.
Your ministers are waiting for you to have a presentation. I had that position because I was looking at myself. I say, hey, Charlie, the most difficult thing to do is to watch an interview that you've conducted. It's always, I don't know about other people, but for me, it's always been difficult. Or listen to some voiceover that you have done. And it's always very complicated. One of the children has been asking me how they come to me and I'm watching, and it's a very difficult task for me watching Good Evening Ghana when I'm in my study but I'm always watching this Facebook. And they ask me, how do you feel watching yourself? And I tell them it's very, very difficult, but now I have to do it. Before there was social media, I didn't do it. In fact, sometimes I could go those years, 2-3 years, I've never watched Good Evening Ghana because I can't watch it. But these days with social media, you have to watch and see because people are opening their photograph and looking for something to say. So even though it's complicated, you have to watch it. It's 14 minutes by the top of the hour, 11 o'clock. We'll be taking text messages and be wrapping up on this edition of the show, keeping an eye on the NDC National Executive National Council because they are about to name the running mate. We believe that the choice will be Jane Opoku-Agyeman. We had actually prepared a montage for her today, but we don't have enough time. Perhaps we'll do that tomorrow. We'll show that on Thursday to you. But now, let's go back to Parliament for the final time and take Akufo-Addo's concluding remarks, which really, really excited me. I don't know about other people. This really excited me. Here's Akufo-Addo's concluding remarks today.
I was still able to manage. I have one more scheduled date with the House when I'll be here to give an accounting of my time in office. By that time, my successor would have been elected. And we will be getting ready for the swearing-in ceremony. The elections will be held peacefully, and the candidate with credibility to take us on to a higher level will win. Let me wish all of us well in the elections on 7th December. Before then, a number of important tasks lie ahead of us, one of which will be commissioning the Nana Agyeman Prempeh I International Airport in Kumasi and naming the recently commissioned airport in Tamale the Yakubu Tali International Airport of Tamale. Mr. Speaker, we stumbled, but we are rising again. We were bruised, but we are healing. We have recovered our footing. We have dusted ourselves off. And now we face tomorrow with confidence. Every day we pray and hope that adversity may spare our families, our communities, and our dear nation. But should we be confronted by misfortune, we must face it like people with a proud history who fight and do not flee. Yenim kon, yenim jani. That is the Ghanaian spirit. That is our armor and our shield. This is our ethos. Let us believe in Ghana. I believe in Ghana. And may God bless our homeland, Ghana, and make her great and strong. I thank you for your attention.
Well, that was President Akufo-Addo's concluding remarks on the day. Let's go to the text messages and finalize our production for tonight. I begin with Antoinette. What are people saying?
Okay, so people are giving in their take-homes and favorite quotes from the SONA 2024. Godi Edujemfi says his favorite quote from SONA 2024, and he quotes, is, "We were bruised, but we are healing." Very prophetic and spiritual. There is healing for whoever has been bruised, economically, financially, emotionally, psychologically, and all the other leads. Now, Dustin Conte's his favorite part of the speech that made him teary was how Free SHS has really saved many young Ghanaians from the streets and homes of rich people. Now, back to the comparison we made with ex-President John Mahama. Well, Maxby says that even Akua Donkor could build roads if she becomes president. The NDC and Mahama should actually give us policies and programs and stop all this. Now, Eric says access to education is not synonymous to dumping pupils in the classroom without the proper infrastructure and well-qualified teachers. What about quality? Eddie Dantes says, how does building 200 schools solve the access problem? People don't have money to pay fees, and you're talking about building 200 schools. Who will actually sit in those classrooms? Now, lastly, Murtala Mohammed says, the president has done a fantastic job by giving trainees allowances and equally converting the colleges into degree awarding institutions. However, it's left with one thing. Please tell him to post the first batch of the B.Ed program. We are eager to contribute our quota with the requisite skills and competencies we have acquired. Now, to our friends of Lifts and Elevators Ghana, enjoy the fruits of your labor, they say, but as humans, aging and physical infirmity stand our way of enjoying our mansions and homes. It often becomes challenging, if not impossible, to use our stairways day in and day out. Worry no more, because with portable American pneumatic vacuum elevators, you are sure of unlimited enjoyment of your mansions and homes. It is a simple to use, self-supported elevator for vertical movement of humans and goods at homes and offices. The original comes in 3 custom-made models with wheelchair accessibility to choose from. You may call it luxury, but it is a necessary imperative for vertical mobility. Do not let aging or infirmity limit you. Get one for easy vertical mobility at home or offices. It's affordable and can be installed within 3 days with modification to your building. Visit Lifts and Elevators Ghana at Sakumono for your solutions and free consultations. Call us now on 0200-535-515, 0200-535-515, or email elevatorsgh@gmail.com.
All right. So coming from Lily, she says, "Oh, Honorable Fatima too is watching. Well done for putting the SONA together, Minister." And from Inshaba's perspective, he's saying that fantastic SONA delivery by President Nado. There's only one way which Ghanaians can pass to see the new Ghana, which is full of joy, better economic policies, massive developmental projects, and job creation. Let us all unite and work towards a new Ghana by voting for Dr. Bawumia and the MPP. Also, Eddie Dantes wants to know, how does building 200 schools solve the access problem? People don't have money to pay fees, and you're talking about building 200 schools. Who will sit in those classrooms? And lastly, coming from Kwesi, he says, the performance tracker is a positive step towards demonstrating the impact of government policies on the lives of citizens. Blue Jeans energy drink has been on the Ghanaian market for over 20 years. We already know what it does for the body. It contains vitamins and nutrients like vitamin B2, B3, B6, B12, as well as taurine and guarana, which are known to boost your strength and energy, as well as promote high performance and endurance. Blue Jeans energy drink has been tested and tried. It is indeed the best. Blue Jeans energy drink is for the bold, active men and women. So go on, grab a cold can and power your day. It is in shops nationwide. For bulk purchases, contact 0208 12190 or 055 001 000. Okay, over to you.
Okay. So coming from Kwesi Barcelona, President Akufo-Addo's commendation reflects the government's dedication to providing tangible results for the nation. And then also Kobe Johnson says, free SHS is by far the best education policy in Ghana's history. And then Mercy Sewa Akoto says, thumbs up, Attorney General Godfred Odame, continue to soar higher to greater heights. And then lastly, Mensa Harrison says, Paul, trust me, if all these judgment debts occurred during NDC regimen, Ghana would have lost the 10 trillion as in the case of Woyome. Great job done, Godfred Odame. No. So, Charlie, the season is getting hotter and the odds are getting sweeter. Don't be left out in the action. Betway Top Up is here to assist customers with easier deposit options. Look out for the Top Up option icon at a Momo vendor near you and deposit cash in your Betway account. Visit betway.com.gh and click on the top up and call us on 055-2923-771 to be a vendor now. No charges on deposits. Bet the responsible way. No under 18. Terms and conditions apply. Regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Betway. Get way more.
Okay,
let me come before you. And Frances Siam sends me a text, and she's eulogizing me, and I'm very flattered. It's good evening, Ghana, indeed. Perfectly perfect and perfection perfected. Whoa, Paul, you have done it all. What a dazzling, sizzling, ear and eye-watering show. This is one of the very best. In fact, I advise all parliamentary and presidential candidates to consult you on strategy, on strategic strategies. Whoa. Hey, Michael, if you are going to consult us on strategy, you can charge them.
Of course.
Thank you very much, Frances. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're keeping well. Frances Siam, former parliamentary candidate for Adenta. I hope that you are helping Kosi Menu to win Adenta, because Kosi has to win, you know. Kosi Menu has to win. Akosia, good evening. How are you doing? You have to win, eh? By the grace of God, you will win. Okay, Michael, what I say?
Amisko from Kaswa Republic says, President Nana Ado's SONA has outlined the success story of the NPP. In fact, we have performed better, so Dr. Bawumia must succeed him to continue to move Ghana forward. He says, hashtag, it is possible. Also, we've got from Sir Bright, yes, watching us from Tantrum. He says, Paul, it's just simple arithmetic. It is just the summation of fines or compensations demanded by the plaintiffs against Ghana that Ghana, where is it? Technology. Okay, yes. That Ghana would have found funds to pay had AG lost those cases. How is this difficult to understand? It's veritable. I would cite just the Sipton Switch v. BOG interoperability contract. They sued BOG for $478 million. That's 2.6 billion cedis. That's a lot of money. He says AG won the case and we rather receive fines against Sipton Switch. Now, briefly, from our sponsors, always knowing health is very, very important. Almond Alternative Medical Hospital, again, come your way saying they are the first to modernize herbal and homeopathy medicine in Ghana with trained and experienced medical practitioners from KNUST. Combined with state-of-the-art medical equipment, every hidden ailment will be diagnosed with ease and treatment will be given you in no time. Now, we do offer consultation, counseling, physiotherapy, homeopathy also to treat most ailments. Now, please do note that your life is very, very precious. So secure good health with Armin Alternative Medical Hospital. You can do this by finding us 7 a.m. through 5 p.m. on Mondays to Saturdays. And on Sundays, because of church, you'll find us from 11 a.m. till 3 p.m. And do locate us at Klagon on the Lashibi Ashaman Road near the Underbridge. And book an appointment with us on this number. Please write it down, 0207-229-505 or 0244-227-192. And as always, with Armin Alternative Hospital, we know that God is the healer. Paul.
Okay, we've done enough. That's what the president said. We will. Oh no, sorry, I had a montage I didn't play. Yes, please. Let's play that one. The Akufo-Addo montage and the pictures from the SONA. Let's play that one. Then we will load. All of that will be on Facebook viewers, so you can see it. Let's have a look at that. What a beautiful montage. Thanks for watching Good Evening Ghana. It's always a pleasure. We meet on Thursday. Good night.